defies
There we
absolutely
go.
everything about himself.
Thunderfoot is live. He's live streaming, and I've super chatted him,
and it's about
and I asked him to appear on the show, and he said he would look into
That's been his entire sales pitch with
Hey,
the
Debbie.
coronavirus.
This is Thunderfoot with 2 zeros. He's live right now.
There's a cruise ship with a lot of sick people who want to come on board. Well, I like the numbers
I'm gonna make a
where they
splash of
are. So let's not get these people to get off the cruise ship.
Hey, Nick, what's up, buddy?
Our coronavirus numbers. And yeah, I mean, he was constantly trying to get the numbers down. We have a super chat that comes in. Even in China, even if China is lying, yeah, it's hard to cover up millions of cases, and this is basically true. You have to bear in mind that at the end of all of this, China had this massive party in Wuhan, which a lot of people viewed as, you know, China kind of giving everyone the finger because they had done something good and everyone else was still suffering. But the simple reality was you can't have these massive open-air festivals if you've still got the coronavirus, because it's otherwise you end up with the refrigerated trucks, you know, to bury the dead. So yeah, I just don't see that there was, even if China downplayed it, and I'm not so sure they did, because I looked at the numbers. I looked at the numbers from mid-February, and from mid-February I had 2 weeks of numbers from China, and from that you extrapolated a spread rate which fitted everywhere else in the world. And at that point, you know, really, what, you know, are they preemptively meant to be predicting that everyone else is going to suffer really badly from this, but we want to downplay our numbers somewhat because reasons? I mean, if you're the only person in the world who has coronavirus cases, you know, well, what do you actually gain by, you know, there's no other country for you to benchmark against. If, as it was the case, you know, China had tens of thousands of dead versus Italy, which had 20. You know, what's the point in covering up at this point? You know, they made it clear enough. They gave the correct spread rate. They gave the virus genome. Yeah, arguably early on they maybe didn't act so well. Yeah, this I can quite happily give, but yeah, you know, let's just put this in any other country in the world. Would any other country in the world have acted so well? Would any other country in the world have actually shut it down so quickly? Yeah, I mean, me too. I never understood the sort of paranoia about blaming China, especially now, right? Let's make China, yeah, 100 times worse. Let's say there's 100 times more fatalities in China than there really were. China had 4,000 dead in total, I think. Now let's take a look at the worldwide death toll. Is like 1 million. So even if
Amanda, my new girlfriend, what's up, girl?
Of 100, which they, you know, no one can sensibly say that they were, you know.
Debbie,
everyone,
Nick, Amy,
everyone
Amanda,
across the
Jay,
world, when they come to reporting these numbers, there's
Enoch,
been this,
Josephine, Jay,
they're
Kevin. Hey guys.
under-reporting it to make themselves look good. So with America, you take a look at the excess deaths versus the number reported by COVID, and they're under-reported by about 30%. That's the way it goes across most of Europe as well.
I think I'll make him full screen so we can see him better.
All of this is maybe real, that, you know, if you just report the people who have lung infections who are dying of, you know, some coronavirus-related stuff, then maybe you get the coronavirus numbers. The extra 30% you get from basically clogging up all of your hospitals with people who have coronavirus. So, yeah. Yeah, there's almost, early on it was all about basically we have to inflate China's numbers. China is covering it up, and therefore our numbers aren't so bad. But now you take a look at America's numbers of infected. 9 million, 10 million.
Arvo, I don't know who that is.
America has 10 million. China had 100,000 cases. You're looking at a factor of 100 there. Right? And yeah, China has basically reopened again. I mean, America is under no even slight illusions that this is remotely under control. Anyway, this was all a bit of a tangent. Sorry.
Yeah, you would think Thunderfoot
would be smarter. But
it's amazing how many stupid people are in his chat.
I predicted that it would be 100,000 by election day for America, and it only got up to 98,000. It's now 130, but we're the best part of a week on 130, 120, 120,000. There we go.
120,000 what?
And we're coming up for winter. Now, I've not actually broken that down by state yet, so I got kind of distracted by the election. Terrible, I know.
God, I can't wait to interview Thunderfoot.
The sub-reality is, even though
he's live right now, you should all go over there and ask him to come on my show.
In terms of who wins the electoral college.
Say fucking Nate loves you, bro. Come on the show. Come on Nate's Garden, man. He's a huge fan.
It's very, very clear that there is a lot of, right? There was a clip which everyone must have seen.
Night and day between him and AJ Goodman.
Sore loser from Trump 2016, and let me see if I can pull up almost exactly the same clip from this news cycle. Is it this one? Nah. Just give me a second.
Oh, I hate when people have to go looking for videos. I hate when I have to do that shit.
No. There is this guy at a Trump rally, and he absolutely loses it. Let's just try Trump supporter loses it. Let's try video. Sorry, I had all of this lined up, and it's showing me stuff from a long time ago. That's no good. Anyway, he basically comes up behind a guy counting votes in Nevada, I think, and claims that the Biden crime family is stealing the election. At which point, you just sort of scratch your head and it's like, hang on, Sleepy Joe is the head of a crime family now? Sleepy crime family steals the election? On different bloody sides of America, in Pennsylvania, in Georgia, in Arizona, in Nevada. Like I said, I've lived in a lot of places in America. I've driven through Pennsylvania. Is kind of an interesting place. The Appalachians run all the way through. For the large part, I only ever drove through a little bit in the corner. But yeah, the idea that someone has masterminded election rigging in different sides of the continent just like this is kind of dumb when you only have to do it in Pennsylvania and Florida. Oh, no.
What?
Oh, it's sneezing.
Ah!
It always goes in threes. So,
He's
something
funny.
I always wanted to know is why. Oh no, I'm still going to go for 4. Is it? Don't go for 4. They're ruined.
4? He's the funniest sneezer I've ever seen. Oh my god.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now I feel a little better. Right, so sneezes almost always go in threes, which I've never really understood. Let's try Nevada. Let's see if we can actually find
funniest sneezer ever.
Man losing it in Nevada.
Man losing it in Nevada. Why are we doing this, Thunderfoot?
It's a terrible thing the way that results are filtered these days. Part of me sort of says, yeah, okay, it does kind of stop the crazy from spreading. But, you know, if you're now going to get pangs of guilt about this, what is it? The most popular religion on the planet believes that we're all doomed because a ribble woman, oh God, a ribble woman, just needs a little more.
Is he drinking wine?
Because a ribble woman from a dirt man was convinced by a talking snake to eat a magic fruit, and that's why we're all doomed.
Thunderfoot
That's
is
the most
drunk.
popular religion on the planet, Catholicism. Oh, and that you can be absolved from this sin by eating magical wafers dipped in red wine, which become the flesh and blood of a 2,000-year-old zombie. And if you eat those, you'll be absolved of the sins of Dirt Man and Rib Woman. Anyway, yeah, the very original fake news. I am so disappointed that I've actually managed to lose. I had it all queued up and ready to go.
Read the super chat.
Absolutely crazy guy. Oh wow! Just look at all those comments go. Okay. Yeah. Dirt Man, Rib Woman.
The video is called Barbecue and Freedom.
I kind of like listening to Tattoo. They do good dancey type music. Let's try this again. What do I want? I think it's Nevada.
The video is called Barbecue and Beer. Everybody's telling him, but he's not. He's ignoring it.
But it is almost the perfect. There we go. I have him. I have you now, young Joe.
I have you now.
Okay, so this should hopefully play through. No, we don't want you. We don't want you. We don't want any bloody commercials. Yeah, here we go.
That's why I like Thunderfoot's channel. No commercials.
See this now.
He doesn't put ads on his videos on YouTube. I love it.
Okay. I sincerely hope you got all of that. I'm sorry, I am so boomerang out at the moment. But that was basically a Trump supporter absolutely losing it, saying that it's all a conspiracy by the Biden crime family. Not quite gathering that the messaging had been that it was Sleepy Joe. Sleepy Joe, not crime family Joe. And you take a step back, and it's even crazier than that, because you get these Republican guys down in Arizona saying, count the vote, count the vote.
He's ignoring his audience.
By the way, it's just one of those sad things. 3 words is their absolute.
I think he's drinking because Trump lost. I think he's partying.
Mother or something. Anyway, so it's count the vote in Arizona, and it was stop the count in Pennsylvania. And it, how do these people walk and chew gum at the same time? Anyway, yeah, so I've lost the chat again. I've lost you, chat. Where are you? There's too many computers here. There we go. Hello. What? No sound. Dragging out. Okay, 3-word chance. There was no sound on the video. No! Okay, hang on. What? Seriously? There was no sound?
That's what we tried to tell you, bro, but you were too busy being drunk to read what your audience was telling you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, let me give you the overdub of what was actually going on there. Let me just see if I can get it back again.
Yeah, get it
yeah,
back,
here
get
we
it
go.
back, get it back, get it back, get it back.
I'm going to.
Get it back, bro.
I'm sorry, I started this just a little bit drunk, so I might.
Oh, he admitted it! He admitted it! I fucking love it! I super chatted him that. I'm like, are you drinking to celebrate Trump getting lost? That Trump's lost?
Here we go. Right, so.
He's drunk! I
yeah,
knew
you're
it!
right, there is no sound on that. Damn! Damn! What the fuck's wrong with you? It was working earlier. Okay. Okay, this is dumb. The Biden election was stolen! The Biden crime family is stealing the election! It's stealing the election! And I don't know what this guy's doing. He's just sort of standing there saying,
The Biden Corona family.
I'm sorry, my hearing aid batteries are all flat. You're going to have to shout a little louder there, mate. And then he just sort of loses
What
it
specific
and
Trump
walks off.
policies? Robert
And then this guy, who is just like the guy who counts ballots. The most dullest, most boring job in the world. And he's out there sort of saying, yeah, we've been counting ballots today. And then this guy comes on who is like 1 degree detached from they're doing an alien autopsy on Sleepy Joe, and starts shouting. And after this guy runs out of steam with all his shouting, this guy just continues on like nothing happened. So, okay, I gave you my best overdub of that. I'm sorry that the audio failed like that.
That's fine. It's
But
fine. He did
yeah,
a good job.
well, this is what you need to look for, is Trump supporter interrupts briefing about ballot count. Let's see if we can zoom out so you actually get the... There we go.
So funny.
You do a search for that, and it is absolutely epic. Yeah, my live dubbing of audio fails. Incidentally, by the way, this over here, these are my imidazolium crystals. But the thing that's really amazing about the imidazolium crystals is they're actually in the cap of a Coke bottle. If he was a lib, he would have met a taser / mace. So, I mean, this is the thing. It is almost beat for beat. There was this very social justice warrior looking fat man / woman / feminist, whatever. And when Trump got inaugurated, they come out with this, no! And this was beat for beat the exact same thing, apart from with a redneck. And yeah, it's quite entertaining, doing the rounds on the news media. And that's the one nice thing, right? So it must be said, for years, every time that I try to make a sensible argument...
Hey, 420 Homestead, I'll smoke to that. No law regarding cannabis. Cannabis isn't just for all. Cyber style. Cheers, everybody.
For years before he was into the birtherism, or, you know, making his inquiries into 9/11 or whatever. Yeah, people would just say, Trump delusion syndrome, you've not gotten over the loss of the last election. And it's one of those things that, in terms of derailing a conversation, there you are trying to actually make a coherent argument, and it's instantly derailed with the most simple and primal of human emotions, that you're just bitter because you lost. And now it's glorious, because all of those people have been shut down in a fucking nanosecond because of these election results. Now all of a sudden, yeah, you don't turn up here anymore because you're just bitter you lost. And it doesn't matter how coherent the arguments that they make would be, because you can just... I mean, this for me, I kind of absolutely hate it. But, you know, you've got to see it from my point of view. For the last 4 years, it was just a bloody nightmare. Anyway, that being said, the number of intellectual arguments that ever came beyond "you're just bitter" were non-existent. They were basically, I would make my argument, and they would say "you're bitter," and that was it. You know, they never actually presented any argument why I was wrong or anything like that. It was an intellectual vacuum. So hopefully we can move a little bit beyond that. In reality, it's not going to make any difference because you come back to the mat. Even though Biden is going to be the next president, it looks like the Republicans will hold the Senate. And you only have to take a look, you know, track record, you know, the past is prologue, or something like that. And they absolutely shut down everything in the Senate. Not in the Senate. Everything in the legislative process. All
This
the
chat
time
is
Obama
amazing.
was president, they absolutely stonewalled him from doing anything. And there is no reason to believe that they're not going to do exactly the same now. That being said, you know, I mean, it's one of these weird things that, yeah, America is kind of on borrowed time in that it's been over a millennium now since the Republicans won the popular vote. Right? They've essentially survived through narrow paths to the Electoral College. And there's another sort of quirk that all of these states up here, all of these states put together, Montana, population of about 1 million, North and South Dakota about 1 million a shot, Wyoming 500,000, Idaho also about 1 million, Nebraska about 1 million. All of these solid red Republican states have less population than New York City, but are 1/10 of the entire Senate, something like that. And yeah, I mean, when we come to SCROTUS, the SCROTUSes that have been appointed by Trump, those go on for a generation. You know, the Supreme Court nominations are lifetime appointments, and there's only 9 of them. I mean, it's always kind of dumb that, you know, when you come to try
No
to
longer gun
explain
cannabis,
to
cannabis
foreigners
isn't just for all.
that it's 9
Cyber
people
Salad, cheers everybody.
who are the ultimate arbiters of all of your justice, and they're appointed, kinda, they're nominated by the president, appointed by everyone else. 9 is small number statistics. Yeah, especially if they're going to go down partisan lines that, they're either going to be Republican or Democrat. I mean, the whole thing seems to have been, for certainly as long as I ever remember it, there's only one issue that the Supreme Court matters for, and that's Roe versus Wade. And this goes to the deeply, deeply religious roots of America, particularly the deeply religious roots of, you know, the Bible Belt, and bit across the middle here. They all want abortion to be illegal, which is a very fine, ethical position. It's just not one that works out very practically in society, in that America tried outlawing abortion and alcohol, for that matter, for a little while. And it turns out that if you try and outlaw things that people want to do, it just doesn't work out that well. So, you know, they outlawed prohibition, and it just established the largest bootlegging,
maybe I should go turn my heater off.
Criminal enterprise in history. Because it turns out people kind of like drinking. And actually now, there have been loads of people who legalized all sorts of drugs across the states. I'm sure someone will tell me in a short while Just how many places have legalized recreational marijuana, and there have even been states that have been, I think it's Oregon legalized hard drugs, and there's a fairly decent argument for it. In the first of all, you strip out all the legs from the organized crime that goes with it, and you get put taxes on the drugs that you sell, and there are people who abuse drugs on all sorts of tiers in society, and arguably it's the people who have the mix of a sort of compulsive obsessive disorder and drugs. This is a bad combination, but this there have been people who function. Churchill was what you would call a functioning alcoholic. I'm in no position to say anything about this at the moment, but okay. Churchill was a functioning alcoholic and still went on to be written up as the greatest.
420 Homestead, let's call it cannabis. Let's not call it legal rec, okay? Let's call it cannabis. I don't want you finding other names for cannabis. Let's just call it cannabis.
Churchill. There we go. Yeah. Churchill was the greatest anti-fascist in history, with the possible exception of Roosevelt. Yeah. Trump hump. Yeah, best laugh. Yeah, I mean, for me too, right? The reason that I've been so glued
I paid Thunderfoot $20 to not read somebody else's fucking super chat.
And I've got to admit, there were times when I was
you guys like that?
This is kind of a toss up.
Here's $20, bro. Don't read that guy's super chat.
This is bad. Then when Michigan and Wisconsin swung back, Wisconsin and Michigan swung back, you had a reasonable idea that Pennsylvania, also the Rust Belt, the common cultures, these guys up here. So yeah, you would sort of expect that Pennsylvania would come back. It took 2 bloody days for it to do it, but it did it. And then you come over to the other side of the country, Nevada was kind of expected. Actually, it wasn't. So yeah, I mean, the coastal areas here are. Yeah, they're starting to have their voices heard. Churchill defeated the Nazis in hopes of furthering the British Empire. Damn straight he did. For those who don't know, the history of World War II is nowhere near as black and white as people would want it to be. It was by no means goodies and baddies. Almost no one operated on sheer virtue. Almost the nearest that you can get to virtue, if you can call it, is when Britain stood alone against Nazi Germany. And this was basically after France had fallen. Britain stood alone. It took the Blitz. But even at that, you could argue that, what options did Churchill have? The choice is he basically gone all in on fight. And you take a look at the early military operations of the Allies, and they're all basically didn't go well at all. Then there was the Norway campaign. That was another disaster. And there was a year when Britain was just about hanging in there, and that was before the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, and it genuinely became a world war at that point. But even back then, not a lot of church.
I was referring to recreational because we've had medical for a while. See, but you're using all their words. So I don't want you to use their words on my live stream, and 420 Homestead, I want you to figure out how to do it, okay? And I know you can do it. All right? You don't need to excuse your way out or wriggle your way out of that. Seriously, you can figure out a way to use the word cannabis every time you refer to cannabis. It's not that hard, man. Trust me. Don't use their fucking terms. Don't use the term medical. Don't use the term recreational. Don't jump through their fucking hoops. That's the message, bro. Do you get it? If you're coming up with excuses to not use the word cannabis on my live stream, you know, then it's defeating the entire purpose of me telling everybody to call it cannabis on my live stream. You're literally doing exactly the thing, the reason why we do call it cannabis. Because terms like medical and terms like recreational are fucking stupid, and they're fucking, basically, recreational is a fucking lie. You know, like, this is all the cannabis is good for is recreational. Fuck your lie. Or how about this? This is the only thing that cannabis is good for, medical. Fuck your lie. See? You've been turned into a fucking liar because you use their stupid fucking terminology. How am I supposed to tell you that we got a new law? That's a great question, 420 Homestead. I'm going to tell you. You say something like, you know, Prop 207 passed in Arizona, so now we have cannabis. You said legal rec. So you just use the word cannabis. You're using the word recreational. I fucking hate that goddamn term. How am I supposed to tell you we got a new law? 420, how are you supposed to tell me that? How are you supposed to tell me that you got a new cannabis law? I'm missing Thunderfoot, man.
The hell are we?
He's so drunk and funny.
Nebraska. Okay, I know where we are now. So I was actually doing the last time I was searching for this. I was saying this was before the election, and I was telling people that there is absolutely nothing in Nebraska. There is this one interstate that goes through Nebraska, and no one ever stops or does anything in Nebraska.
You had legal cannabis before, but now they're saying that you've got recreational cannabis. So you can just put the word recreational in quotations and say cannabis after to specify that. Right? You say, my fucking stupid state that we had legal cannabis in is now saying, oh, now you can use it recreationally. And you can put, you can say recreational cannabis, and you can put recreational in quotations. Instead of using their term, man, because using their terms is playing their fucking game. You know, and that's the words. People don't think words are important, but words are a big way they get you to jump through their fucking hoops. A lot of people come in and say, oh, what do words matter? They're just words. Weed, pot, dope, marijuana, reefer. They're just words. Oh, really? Well, then why did every single person on my goddamn live stream right now, their hair just stood up on the back of their fucking neck when I said all those words? They're just words. Right? Words have power, man. And they'll use the wrong words to subvert our movement. And our movement is correct, and theirs is incorrect and hurtful, and ours is helpful. It doesn't hurt anybody.
It's basically a free drive to.
Except for that Randy guy on YouTube,
that
crazy Randy motherfucker.
That really helped him out here. The German tanks took.
It's okay, 420. Homestead, I love talking about that.
You could actually just.
I love talking about it. Any chance I get to talk about it, I love it.
The Germans might be preparing to invade it if they ordered.
It's like you gave me
France.
Like an alley.
And when they did that, they knew where all the gas stations were.
It.
So basically, the tanks of Germany could be tanked up with gasoline at the French gas stations, and that helped them.
You tossed it up there
all the way to the sea. But you take a look at the distances here, right? Or I mean, hell, this is 100 kilometers.
Free smoke! Free smoke time! No law regarding cannabis. Cannabis isn't business for all. Cyber style. Cheers, everybody. Cyber style.
You know, they're only talking. Yeah, the maximum distance to Paris here is a couple of 100 kilometers. doesn't matter if you don't know what kilometers are. We'll take a look at something else on the same scale in a second. But you know, the advance to the coast here was only a couple of 100 kilometers. You take a look at this in American terms. A couple of hundred. What are we at? Let's put that same score. Actually, we'll put it on Nebraska. Yeah. So it's about 200 kilometers is my guess. Is the drive to the ocean, and so it's about the drive from New York to Washington, right? So and you have basically the time it takes someone to drive from New York to Washington to stop an army, and yeah. The distance is
I'm gonna give him. I'm gonna give him $50. I'm spending too much money. I'm gonna. I want to do more. Now I'm gonna give him $20
this is
for
Germany,
bitch slapping Elon Musk.
Then you go
$20.
Poland, Belarus, Ukraine, this sort of crap, and you get to Moscow. There, Moscow's. Where the fuck is Moscow? My Russian is not so good. I thought Moscow was about there somewhere. I'm not seeing Moscow. Anyway, there's not a lot here anyway. So Moscow is... Seriously? You're not going to tell me where Moscow is, Google Maps? I have got this right, haven't I? I'm not like miles out or something. Right, okay. Let's be bold. Moscow.
Super chat.
That's not gonna work. Moscow. There we go. There we go. Moscow. Super. So there's Moscow. And this is 1,000 kilometers, right? This is 1,000 kilometers. So to go from Germany to Moscow, you're looking at 1,000 to 2,000 kilometers. Right now, the German invasion force, when they got them, they were about here somewhere, somewhat inside Poland, and there were about 3 million people. So 3 million people, that's 3 decent-sized cities, and you had, even if you just look at the logistics of moving those 3 million people out to this sort of arc here, this is a monstrous operation. So I'm going to keep the scale exactly the same here, and we're going to take that distance there and see how much that is on America. And it's about basically taking the entire of 3 million person cities on the east coast here and moving them to the middle of America. It's a monstrous logistical operation, even if there are people there trying to kill you, which of course there were. And this was all done before computer logistics or anything. So what happened is they got about kind of up to this sort of line here-ish, this line here. And at that point, the logistics, it was a combination of the logistics died.
It's like I want to give him $20 for the people that are unsubscribing from his channel.
I feel I should contribute something. Thank you, John. Much appreciated. Watching the video for over 10 years. Glad you enjoyed the videos.
Me too.
So yeah, the Germans got up to about this line here, and they basically ran out of steam in that the Russians had been fairly successfully trying to kill them. They basically destroyed the frontline strength of the army by the time they got to this line here. In the year after they invaded Russia, they got all the way down into the Caucasus here, and there's this epic battle in Stalingrad, which was basically a complete turning point for the war. Last supper before I go back to work. Leave it to Trump to be a whiny man baby and delay the inevitable. Yes, I mean, but in many ways, this is where. Okay, I know I should be the big man here. I know I should be a. Yeah, okay, let's just leave it as a better man. But it's so tempting to savor the tears of the Trumpetards. Tastes good. Anyway, and this thing, right? previously in the comments there would always be the lowest common denominator. You're just bitter that you lost.
Hey, Alistair.
It feels good. It feels good that I don't have to put up with that shit anymore. Anyway, where was I? Okay, so the first year, Germany did very well. And they got up to about here, and after they'd had their frontline strength destroyed, um, the Russians actually had a reasonable go at destroying the front, because the way the war was basically fought at this point, when Napoleon invaded, he basically marched an army to Moscow. This was different. When the Germans did it, they actually had a front. So this is the thing, virtually all of your troops are on the front. If you lose your troops on the front, that's it. The war's kind of done, because then all people do is they drive their military forces into your country and it's over. So in the winter, the Germans only just managed to hold it together. And then in the summertime, they managed to get this next new offensive, which did spectacularly well. Got into the Caucasus here, pushed all the way to Volgograd. There we go. Volgograd, also known as Stalingrad. And I'm glad that the information helped out with the first telescope. And if you ever want, in many ways, they're some of the most I'm not quite sure what the word to use is, but they are some of the most human stories from the Germans that got trapped in Stalingrad. Because you got to bear in mind that, with all of these things, there are the people who are devoted to the cause. These, in more modern times, would be the people who would support Trump even if he shot someone in Fifth Avenue. The facts aren't really that important to them. And there were people like that in the German army. But there were also a lot of, the bulk of the German army was more normal people. If anything, the only message that people ever ought to be taught about World War II is that Germany, prior to World War II, was it was one of the most modern countries on the planet. It was a Christian country, and if you can get the point where you go from that to mechanized genocide in 4 years.
Wow. Then we can
Why
do it too.
can't it happen anywhere else?
Right.
That's the almost basically.
Put a fucking stop to it. Well said.
That's the most important lesson.
Well said, Thunderfoot. Well said.
But there are also some very human things that come out of it, and that's the German army. Once they'd actually got to Volgograd, Stalingrad, and they were right on the absolute limit of their strength, out pushing into the Caucasus here, and they didn't realize it.
Obama caused Trump.
The Russians were actually doing fairly well at the time. There was the Persian Road. They're being supplied by the Americans, most importantly with trucks, and they were amassing tanks on both sides of Stalingrad. And in one very quick movement, they basically cut off Stalingrad. And the people in Stalingrad, this is Russia in the winter. If you don't have fuel, you freeze to death. If you don't have food, you starve to death. And this happens very quickly. I mean, so once they were cut off, it was in the 6th Army. It was the 6th Army in Stalingrad, and this was the absolute cream of Germany. It was the best army that they had. This was the army that, I mean, if you take a look at how far they've gone, I mean, it's fairly impressive. But this was the army that Hitler had boasted could storm the heavens. This was sort of instrumental in the conquest of France. just a year to 2 years ago, and they're cut off in the middle of Russia, right? No food, no fuel. And it turns out it's even worse than that because they were in a city that had been bombed to bits. And when they bombed it to bits, all of the stuff that would burn had been burned. So they had no fuel and no food. And there was a rescue attempt launched I'm trying to remember, is it Winter Storm, was it? Winter Storm, it was a Manstein, came up from the south. And they got within, the Germans in the city, they were stuck there, right? They could see the flashes of light from all the gunfire at night, and they could hear the roar of guns, but it was about 30 miles away, right? Too far. You can't just walk out 30 miles in Russia in the winter. You freeze to death. And then Manstein's push is repelled, and these guys left in the pocket, 250,000 people. It's basically they slowly freeze and starve to death, and even there's 250,000 people, and I forget it's something like 6,000 of them survive Russian captivity. So it's 250,000 cut off, and there's a typhoid epidemic afterwards, and they're all basically starved on the edge of death anyway by the time they surrender. But just so you know, it's if you take a look at some of the interviews of the people who were in the kettle, that's the German word for the cauldron, the people who were stuck in Stalingrad, there was no hope of survival.
God, he's still talking about
you were
Germany.
basically surrounded in Russia. The Russians didn't really even need to do anything. Basically, you just left them to starve. But then they were after they were so marched off to camp. There was a typhoid epidemic, and it's virtually no one survived. But you take it, you feel bad for them. Things to bear in mind that when Germany first invaded all of these portions of Russia, they took loads of prisoners, and the survival rate on those prisoners was also like 3% or something. They would basically get all the prisoners, put them in camps, and give them 1/10 of what they actually needed to survive. So the survival rates on the Russian prisoners was abysmal. So I looked at like that. It's difficult to feel sorry for. They kind of got what they were giving, but nonetheless, it's when you actually see some of the interviews of these guys. They're like old men. Remembering what it was like for them when they were 20, and they were sat out there in the middle of bloody Russia, freezing, absolutely freezing, and watching the flashes of light from the guns, hour by hour retreating backwards. You can empathise with these people. You're obviously a keen interest in the bulletin wars. Yes. Enjoyed the tanks video, would be keen to hear more. What about Churchill being virtuous in his motives? So it's one of these things that to be sort of famous in history, you've not just got to have the right motives, you've got to win as well. That's not entirely true. The 300 Spartans, there were the sort of glorious failures, the charge of the Light Brigade, which when I was a kid, charge of the Light Brigade had all sorts of connotations of space.
Hey, Alistair.
The light brigade, it was like lightsabers and blasters and all that sort of thing. No, The Light Brigade was basically because they didn't have heavy armor, they had light armor. And there were basically a bunch of guys on swords, and it was an entire British cock-up, the charge of the Light Brigade. And this, for some bizarre reason, is written up as some great and noble chapter in British history, is the charge of the Light Brigade, regaled in song, that into the Valley of Death rode the 500, I think it was. And the Light Brigade were ordered accidentally. It was a communications cock-up. The Light Brigade were ordered to charge against some fortified position or some shit like that. And they did it. And they all got killed. And this is seen as some great chapter in British history because they were so loyal that they charged a weak unit against a heavily fortified position. It's like, huh? Really? Really? I mean, this is like sort of glorifying people for commanding them to fall on their sword and then having them fall on their sword and saying, yeah, look how gloriously loyal these people are. Anyway, so that was the sort of thing that I grew up being told was a great sacrifice when I was a kid.
Huh.
For me, it kind of reminded me of Abraham. Right? So all throughout your youth, I was told the story of Abraham and how wonderfully loyal this man was to God. He was so wonderfully loyal to God that when God came and told him to kill his own son, he said, yeah, right, let me get some binding and a knife. And he was just about to kill his son, and God stops him. And it's like, isn't the moral of the story Abraham was a psychopath? And it's like, no, Abraham is the great core religious figure who is the center of all of the Abrahamic religions, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, because of his great sacrifice that he was willing to kill his own son. Be interesting to hear what your views on humans stopping and reversing climate change are. Okay, so let me tell you about how screwed we are on climate change. If there is one lesson that we've learned from the coronavirus, is that mankind simply cannot operate until there is a clear and present danger, until you actually see the cases spiking. I mean, throughout the whole of bloody Europe, right? United Kingdom, right? So I've been following UK fairly closely, and even though the cases spiked massively, the death didn't quite spike in unison. And so there were people saying that, yeah, it's not a problem. It's not as fatal anymore. Everyone's got it. We've got herd immunity already. And of course, you take a look a week or two later. Let me see if I can pull this out. Let me see if I can pull this out. What do we want? We want worldometer.
Hey, yo.
We want the deaths in the UK.
Console of physician.
No, we don't want that. We want worldometer. Coronavirus. Okay, let's go for the UK. There we go, super. So coming down to the UK, yeah, the cases spiked up, and they were saying, yeah, but death didn't really do the same. And it was true that for a long time it's daily cases, daily deaths. For a long time, deaths lagged. You know, it's like a couple of 20 deaths per day. That's nothing, right? Why are we getting all worried about this? And the simple answer is because viruses are viral, right? It's one of those things you can get lots of people dying from smoking, but you're never going to get 10 times that number of dying, or 100 times, or 1,000 times. You can do that with a virus. You can't do it with smoking. And so, this, by the way, for those who haven't been paying attention, the ramp up on the second wave everywhere it's like the first wave on slow motion, right? So it looks like everything is in slow motion for the second wave. I don't know why. It's just the way the patterns that I've observed. Anyway, for a long time, people were saying, "Yeah, look, there's no deaths from the second wave. Why are we bothering?" Well, now the deaths are in the UK up at, let's say 300 per day, whereas at their maximum they're about 600 per day. Right? So it's not looking good for the UK. And for the US, I've not looked at the US for a day or two. I'm kind of preoccupied with the election and all that sort of stuff. So let's see how the US is doing. Yeah, lots of stuff on the States. Oh, okay. So that's daily cases. I predicted, yeah, I missed it by a whisker that it would be over 100,000 by election day. It's 120 now. So if you plot up the average, yeah, it's probably about right. But if you take a look at the deaths, this is the total deaths. It's kind of a straight line, which means your deaths per day is fairly linear. But this is starting to ramp up. And this ramp up is what you've seen throughout Europe. So basically the deaths will follow the cases. And so America is likely to more or less double its daily cases from about 50,000 to 100,000. This might actually go up to 150,000. You're looking at deaths per day probably doubling from here. Right? You can't. The thing is, comparing here to here is difficult because the detection was poor here. It's probably you only detected a small number of the coronavirus cases here. So this first wave should have actually, let's come back here. This first wave should have been 5 times higher, and then it's coming down, and this is now more or less accurate. So the thing is, you can't double the. Right? There are all these people saying that it's all down to detection. We're doing more tests, therefore we're getting more cases. This is bollocks. You basically doubled the detection here. The detection here and the detection here is very different. The detection here and the detection here is comparable. So basically you've more or less doubled the number of cases that you're getting per day. You're more or less going to double the cases. So you're probably at 700 at the moment in America, probably going to go up to 1,500, maybe more if things go badly. So yeah, but coming back to global warming, this is global warming on steroids. You can see it right in front of your eyes from day to day. When it comes to global warming, you basically run into what I'm going to call the Steven Crowder syndrome, where he will make a video in the hottest month in history, in the hottest year in history.
He's already talked. I remember this.
That global warming is
fake.
There'll be the whole gamut, the whole spectrum of reasons
fake.
why you don't have to worry about this. Let's just take a look at top 10 hottest years. Top 10 hottest. Yeah, you're going to get some interesting things there. Okay, top 10 hottest Pepper's anime guys, models, Bollywood actresses, anime characters, actresses in India. This
top 10 hottest anime characters.
Years in history. Right?
Oh my god.
I can tell you with absolute certainty that of the things that that is not a tailored search, because the number of times that I've searched the top 10 hottest years in history blows the crap out of all of the others. Anyway, there you go. So I mean, you get a whole host of things like this, and you take a look at the top 10 hottest years in history, and
man,
they're basically all the last decade. Right? It's that straightforward. Or if you take a look at
this last decade,
global temperature.
The last 10 years. Top 10 hottest years on record. For the last 10 years.
Yeah, and
we're fucked, kids.
I remember Steven Crowder when he was making his videos saying that it's all a scam, it's all a hoax. There's been no global warming.
Everybody's leaving, man. Nobody wants to watch this with me. It's crazy. You guys don't like Thunderf00T?
Well, let's draw
He's talking exactly about what I was talking about.
Well, yeah, but those were still the hottest years on record. Um, and in many ways, you're right, the temperature itself, not such a problem. Yeah, if you're just looking in terms of some of here in South Carolina, for your hard work. Oh, thank you. South Carolina. I hate to say it, but weren't they? Okay. Weren't they one of the ones in? Oh no, it's North Carolina. North Carolina was one of the ones in play.
He's checking.
And they've not counted any votes. They've been at 94. Oh no, they're 99 now. Okay, that's kind of a done deal. Okay, North Carolina goes to Trump.
Blech.
Oh, it's more than one part in 1,000 now in favor of Biden. Pennsylvania. Yeah, Pennsylvania, I suspect, is going to go like a percent. That's the point. You can't once they get beyond about 1%, you can't really claim it's margin of error how you count the votes or something. Trump is doing more stop the ballot count than he's done stop COVID. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, this is what blows my mind about Trump. Is
He caused his own fucking loss.
America is the only country on the planet that never actually really got the first wave under control. Everywhere else in the world managed to get this to go back almost down to zero, and then there was 0, 0, 0, and then there was a second wave. Right? You take a look at any other bloody country on the planet. Actually, not true for the Middle East. Middle East was not so good. Thank you, lad. Yeah, so you take a look at the UK. And yeah, for the summer, it was hugely under control. And in many ways, this is probably the reason why it's all gone so badly ever since, is that this basically convinced people in their minds that the coronavirus wasn't a thing anymore. So let's go to Italy. Yeah, Italy. There we go. Super. And Italy. So America is not unique in this wave here, but America was unique in the wave in the middle. Yeah. And the sad thing is, you take a look at people's efforts to control this, and there's a gazillion of these people saying that it's all fake news, that there is video. I'll put up a video of it tomorrow on this channel about there are these people saying there is no such thing as the coronavirus. It's like, what the hell are you on? 1 million people have died from it. Yeah, thanks, Jesslyn. Here's to you too.
Glug glug.
But yeah, there is no reason whatsoever why this couldn't have been contained or at least handled much better in America. And this is the thing: if you actually kill the virus off here like this, then it's much easier to contain later on. So with the UK, right, this is where the UK really screwed up. Hindsight's always 20/20, but in this case, not so much. It's the UK could have done a sort of, right from this very moment that you see an uptick, right? It seems like nothing, right? Well, what are we worried about? We've had these sorts of cases all along. Well, not so much. What you've got to bear in mind is the detection was much poorer here, and it's much better here. So in reality, this bit where it looks flat is actually slowly going down. But once you get to this little uptick here, this is the bit where the UK should have done its circuit breaker lockdown, right? Because if you'd have done it there, then this would have gone up to about here and gone back down again. The mere fact that the UK said, well, we're not going to circuit breaker here, we're going to do regional lockdowns, and by the time here they were doing regional lockdowns, it was up here, and then they were debating about level 1, 2 and 3 lockdowns, and it was up here, and then they decided, okay, finally we're going to do a countrywide lockdown. And yeah, even at the countrywide lockdown, I mean, we're still talking people go to work. It's just that they basically close shops and that sort of thing. Yeah, so if they'd done it earlier, the circuit breaker back here made sense. If you do it here, it really doesn't make a lot of sense because a circuit breaker basically brings you back down to it brings you back down to this level, the level that you were before the circuit breaker. Well, if you do that now, you're still going to get 24,000 cases per day. It's pointless. What the hell are you doing? Which to a very large degree, what's happening in America has just been completely swamped by the elections at the moment. Brooker, hey, make nice NMR machines. John, just remember how stupid the average person is. To remember, half of them are dumber than that. George Cullen, quote for the win. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, where is America going to go here? What you got to bear in mind is this is an experiment, and if you don't take efforts to control the experiment, it's just going to keep going. Right? So someone's got to do something at some point. I've not broken this down by state yet. If I remember rightly, it's like Wisconsin or something was really bad. New York, I know a guy in New York who actually had the coronavirus and almost died from it. And he works at a university where they're taking, now everyone gets tested. Everyone gets tasted once per week for the coronavirus. Because everyone likes being tasted. Anyway, did the circuit breaker here, and they forced the kids, and so it's completely safe. What are your thoughts on South Africa? Well, it depends on what part of the history of South Africa we're looking at here. Let's see if we can actually go to South Africa. Right, so South Africa, strategically really important because in the good old days you had to go around the Cape to go anywhere, and so there were all sorts of European powers who wanted spices of one sort or another from India and China, and so you had to basically control South Africa. The thing was, the people who was colonized by, I can't even remember who, but the apartheid system. Basically, they had the two-tier thing that, in fact, I think they even had this really messed up version of Darwinism where it was a mix of Darwinism and creationism. That white people were made by God, but black people evolved from apes. And it's like, really? Yeah, so why are they biologically compatible at the genetic level? We have 6 billion DNA base pairs which can mix perfectly and all that sort of thing. Anyway, right, so that was all completely messed up, the apartheid stuff. As to what's happening since, I'm not entirely certain. It turns out Africa is actually a fairly rich continent. If you take a look at mineral wealth, Africa is not that far off places like Australia. Australia has also got quite a lot of mineral wealth to it. Uranium it's certainly got a lot of. But the population of Australia is like 20 million or something. Entire population of Africa, I don't actually know. What is the population of Africa? You have till I type it into a Google search engine to find out what is the population of Africa, the entire of Africa, and it's about 1 billion people, turns out. So the entire of Africa has about the same population as China.
1/8 of the world.
I think it's like 20 million or something. So
1/8 of the world is on one.
Europe is about 500 million. And if you take all of this sort of area here, this is 500 million as well. So there's quite a lot of people in Africa. But they all. If you take a look at it in terms of financial wealth, Africa is dirt poor. So if you do there's a map you can do. Uh, World by GDP, I think. GDP. And we'll do a search on images, and it basically shows you the map. There we go. This is, I think, exactly what I'm after. This is the world by GDP. Let's make that nice, a little bit bigger so you see what the hell's going on. And yeah, America is a good portion of it, quarter or so of the GDP. China and Japan, they do well. And Europe also does fairly well. And then you take a look for where is the entire of Africa. And I think this is the entire of Africa here, this little smidge on the side. So yeah, this goes back to the Brexit days when people were saying that, you know, oh, why don't we look to great trading opportunities in Africa? And the entire GDP of Africa is comparable to that of France, right? The difference, of course, being the France is 20 kilometers, 20 miles, that sort of thing, away from the UK. The entire of Africa is a long way away. So I mean, this is the thing. Just the sheer geography is basically what determines a lot of the issues with Brexit. That you typically trade with people who are close to you, and in that sense, you know, the UK is a fair-sized player in the world. You know, there aren't that many bigger than it. United States, China, Japan, Germany, that sort of thing. But on its own, it's geographically next to Europe. So, realistically, if you're going to go for the Brexit thing, the only trade agreement that really matters is the one with Europe, because right on your bloody doorstep. And Brexit, by the way, is going south spectacularly. If only someone could have seen it coming 4 years ago. And what was it all really about? I mean, if you take a look, what are the sticking points now in Brexit? It's about who gets to farm the fish. And there's this thing that who actually knows any of the rules that govern fishing? And it turns out for the UK, the entire of the fishing industry is about 0.1% of GDP. Tourism, I think, is about 6% of GDP. Yeah, the oven-ready Brexit deal, not so oven-ready after all. But anyway, so tourism, I think, is about 6% of the UK GDP. So that's 60 times as big as the fishing industry. But it's this thing that people get terribly patriotic about. You know, we need the ability to catch the fish, whether it's I don't know whether it's 6 miles or 20 miles off the coast or something. These are things that no one would. If you take any person in the UK and ask them, what are the fishing rules? No one has the slightest clue, and it's even more complicated because Southern Ireland here, is part of the European Union, so they have their own fishing rights. And it even gets worse than that, in that even if the UK does have fishing rights to all of the area within 20 miles of its coast or something, it turns out that the UK doesn't actually eat that much fish. So even though it's 0.1% of the economy, it's like 3/4 of that is actually exported to the European Union. And you want to sort of basically mess up the status quo. And whether the status quo is fair or not, this is an open argument. I can quite happily accept that, you know, the status quo is unfair. It would have in many ways helped if people who had been arguing about fish in the European Union for the last 20 years, like Nigel Farage, who was actually on the UK fishing in, representative or whatever. Turns out he never turned up to any of the meetings, any of them. It's like, what? Okay, so you didn't actually make any representations for the UK within the European Union in terms of fishing, and now you want to basically, this is what's going to dominate UK industry for the next 10 years. And when I say dominate, okay, turns out most countries do work, they work for themselves. Project Fear, it becomes Project Reality on steroids, damn straight. Most countries overwhelmingly service themselves, in that you take a look at most of the industries that a country has, most of the things that it does are consumed within its own border. So, you make your own food, your own, not textiles, but whatever. Most of the stuff that you actually make within your own borders, your healthcare, that would be a good one, or your financial services. These things.
74 million, 69, it's 70 million. He's got 4,130,000 more votes now. Crazy. Ain't it though? Isn't that crazy? Hey, what's up there, Ben? Yo, what's up, guys? Cool. So I'm out of here. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see y'all later. Check out my friend Romplicone, romplicone.com, and whoa, Cyber, what's up, son? It's Cyber Style. What's up, man? I was just talking about you earlier. Holy shit. Damn. Moo. I'm good, man. How are you? I haven't seen you in a while. Yeah, I got them out of storage. They've been in storage, man, for like 2 years in a storage locker, like 15 miles from here. And I finally went over there and I dug them out. They were all the way in the back. The Les Paul is back there behind that stack. Thank you, Sriracha Sauce. I appreciate that. Yeah, man. Remember this one? So heavy, I gotta fucking put it on my shoulder just to show it to you. Yep. Les Paul custom. Has to be custom because it's a lefty, right? It sounds so good. It's so funny. Something like this can just sit in a warehouse. You pull it out of the warehouse and you just plug it in and it just sounds fucking great. me get the tuner right here. Playing games with ray tracing and shit now. I don't know. Oh, with ray tracing. I don't know what that means. What a great clean sound. Beautiful. Wow, that bass shakes, does it? I better make sure I'm not knocking. Oh, it's NVIDIA. You could listen to this all night? Scratch it sauce? Oh, really? Could you now? Have I told you that I'm single? Paranoid that the glass is gonna fall off the wall now. Oh, you're single too? I like that you're single. room. Look at that. Ray tracing is a rendering technique that can produce incredibly realistic lighting effects. The path of light and similarly the way that the light interacts with virtual hits in the computer generator. Oh, okay, I gotcha. Huh, it says it's in tune, it still came up. Okay. my hand is totally cold and numb right now. It's too bad it's got that. I've got a noise gate that'll shut that off. I got a compressor, a noise gate. Oh my god, I could bring my mics up here, everything. But you would hear it while I was playing. I could just work with this tone since it's got lower notes. Still got too much noise. Huh. Isn't that too bad? Always with the noise. But I just realized I've got a ground lifter. I just saw it. Where? I wonder if that'll fix this. Let me go grab that. Let me just see if that works. I was like, man, I gotta take this down to the studio. Oh, here it is. This could fix the problem. We'll see. We'll see. Let's see what happens. Okay, here, we'll turn this up. Okay, we'll see what happens in sound. And come over here and do this. If we can do it. Oh. Oh! Where's it plugged in? Okay, I think I see. I think I can get to it over here. Yeah. Without unplugging the fucking router, hopefully. Okay, here we go. Like a surgeon. Let's try the ground lift. Goes in like this. Huh. Okay, let's try something different. Let's go directly in to the wall here. Let me just see what this sounds like. It's not quite as bad. It's interesting, huh? Now I can start getting shocked without a ground on here. My feet get wet. Wait. Not bad. maybe the strings need to be replaced. I think this thing's gonna rock when I put new strings on it. I think these strings are cooked, bro. They just keep moving. And I got some nice new strings to put on here too. Then I'll be like, I'll be rocking. is just, it's got a lot of gain to it, you know. It's kind of hard to control it. It's hard to control me when I start hacking on it. Right on. Alright guys, I am out of here. Cyber! Come to the show more often, bro. I'd love to see you when I start, man. If you're following me on YouTube, you get notified. Dave's Garden on YouTube, bro. I got 6 live channels that will notify you. Just click the notifications, bro, man, and get in here when I start. I'd love to see you, brother. I gotta go, man. I was gonna go, but you showed up right when I was shutting the show down. So I just decided to sit and hang out with you for a bit, bro. I miss you, man. I think about you every time we do a hit in here because I always say cyber style. Cyber style! But I'm high as fuck. That's the other thing. I got high as fuck before you got here. So I'd like to smoke with you though, so fuck, this guitar needs new strings on. I guarantee you that's all it needs, man. These are probably just shit fucking strings. God. Little fucking generic motherfuckers. Yeah, they are, dude. There's shit strings on here. What? Poor winding and everything, I bet. You haven't been around? Oh, I was wondering, man. I just figured you were playing video games and shit. Well, let's catch up soon, okay, homie? I gotta go take care of some stuff, man, right now, unfortunately. But, I will talk to you, you know, if you're around later today when I go live again, bro. Come in the show, man. For sure. These little fucking tuners, though, bro. These little sharks. They're fucking amazing, man. I love them. Yeah, I should just go break down and go grab the strings and start stringing this thing up, man. My playing would improve probably 10% too with better strings. Grab fresh picks too, because these are, I'm using picks that I've shredded down, bro. They're fucking all worn down and shit. This one especially. Get some fresh picks. I might even have to change the kind of pick I use, because my playing has changed. Who dis? Who dis? Who dis? Graham Elwood's going live. Oh my goodness, you guys should go check out Graham Elwood. He's going live. Oh, he's gonna be live with fucking Lee Camp, man, right now. What? Pick Boy Posigrip. I gotta try that. Pick Boy Posigrip. I think you did a whole YouTube video on those a long time ago, I think. Okay, where the fuck is this live stream at? Graham Elwood, there we go. Voice of Thunder still alive. Alright, you guys, I will see you soon. You take care of yourselves. Bye, guys. Alright, Cyber, I will check those out. I will talk to you soon, homie. Take care, guys.